You are listening to the Bob and Kevin Show with Bob Beattybar
and Kevin Gishesky. Each week we cover relevant tech and social issues related to technology.
Our website is bobandkevin.show,
and our episodes can be found virtually on any podcast network.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Just search for Bob and Kevin Show.
I think we are live.
Nice.
I see that we're a little bit behind on YouTube, but we are indeed live.
Oh, so, do you have like a cool background on one of these channels? I can't tell.
I have a photographic backdrop, so it looks like I'm in a white studio. So.
Oh. I mean, you are in a white studio.
Well,
right?
I'm in a green screen with a white backdrop, but yeah, it looks pretty
All
tight.
I see is green screen behind Bob, but it looks like a nice green screen. Very nice lighted green screen.
So, Kevin, we're going to introduce ourselves to all the folks out there listening, watching live in our streamed broadcast. Kevin, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube,
Yes.
Periscope, and Twitch. So the Bob and Kevin Show, has a Twitch broadcast now too. So this is our first time doing this. I got big plans for 2021 for the Bob and Kevin Show. I'm Bob Beattybar, one of the co-hosts, and that other guy on the screen that just strummed the guitar, his name is
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin's really good at those cues. If you haven't listened to the show, if you have, you know that this is technically a podcast. And we used to be a YouTube show. Now, 2 years later, we're drifting back and doing some more YouTube-y kind of stuff, or streaming kind of stuff. But you can still find us any place where podcasts are streamed or downloadable or all that good stuff. Bob and Kevin Show. Kevin, what are we going to talk about today?
I have no idea, but I'm just going to start talking. So, Bob, The Expanse on Amazon Prime back. Episode 4 tonight. I didn't realize they're actually like releasing them one episode at a time. I thought they would do like a whole season. Yeah, I just couldn't remember. So I'm gonna watch that tonight. Love the show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I usually call Bob Boss Man, my best belterese, if you will, in our Slack channel. So yeah. And we made it to almost Christmas. Like work-wise, we have made it to Christmas because now it's pretty much post-work time, and now it's just kind of turned into a food coma time, right?
Kevin, they're called the holidays. Remember your inclusive language.
My sensitivity training is already worn off, I can tell. Bob and Kevin Show, really. Yeah.
Put $1 in the grocery jar.
That's funny because I actually did kind of wish everyone a happy holiday / Merry Christmas because I've tried to go both angles there, and I'm sure everyone has their own thing. I try to make everyone happy, but you know what, Bob? I just can't. That's just the way it is, right?
Well, Kevin, you know who's not going to be happy after this episode?
I don't know.
Josh, and can I tell you why?
Why?
Because I had a little glitch on the local recording for my audio, so it's going to be a little out of sync, but I have full faith in him to be able to find the sync point pretty quickly and get us up and running. So,
boy, this is the part where you're like, at least we have a professional on the case, right? This is why, hey, it's no big deal, right?
We do. We have an audio engineer, and his name is Josh Beattybar. Actually, yes, there is a relation. He's my oldest son, but he is a kick-ass figure in the world of audio engineering, and so he, for a fee, engineers and produces our show every week or every 2 weeks, however we release these days. But he's our go-to guy. Beattybar. It's beattybar.media. Cool TLD, much like Bob and Kevin Show. It's bobandkevin.show. So he's at beatty-bar.media. Check him out. If you go to beatty-bar.media/BK show and fill out your project request form, guess what? You get a show discount. So check Josh out. Josh, this is our live read for today. Please continue to give us our sponsor discounts on our weekly fees.
You know, I just finally went to that form for the first time ever. No kidding. Right there it is. Claim your 10% discount below. How'd you hear about us? The Bob and Kevin Show. You just need your first name, your last name, email, and a generic text area that says basic project information where you probably get to tell Josh what it is you're up to, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go to
So,
two
okay.
cameras here. Boom. Switching over. Kevin, you got to watch this after it live streams because I've got a cool little BK logo spinning stinger transition in between our different
Oh, nice.
scenes.
And I'm sure my video is probably not the greatest, but whatever. So, Bob, Twitter recently announced that when our new president takes over, that would be Joe Biden, he will inherit the POTUS, at POTUS, and at White House handles with 0 followers, which is something that Mr. Trump did not do. They basically transferred all the followers over to our dear leader now. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I guess my question is does Biden want those followers?
Well, apparently, because he pushed back and said, no, we do want those followers today. So he did say something, pushed back Twitter, said, hey, what gives? But you're right. Do you really want those followers? I mean, how many of those are just straight up bots?
There's probably quite a few of them that are straight up bots. But there's probably way more of them that are just straight up not worth receiving as followers. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. I'd be like, yeah, whatever, you know. I did find interesting that they're going to archive the current one. So basically, I think they're just renaming the handle. Basically, they're going to call it, I think, at POTUS 45 or at White House 45 or something like that. And it's just going to be an archive. And so they want them to start fresh, but who knows? It's just kind of one of those odd things I saw in the headlines today.
Very interesting. You're gonna really like the shot in this where you're big and I'm small because of my green screen. I'm just basically a floating head up in the corner.
So the kind of the other thing I was actually, before we get off Twitter, what can we make a prediction? January 20th is the inauguration. How long, if at all, will it take Twitter to ban the real Donald Trump handle, if at all?
Man.
How many days? How many days, or if at all?
Days? So the inauguration is on the 20th at noon. Is that correct?
I believe so.
I'm going to imagine that he is going to break the terms of service
within minutes.
I'm going to set the over at 30 minutes.
Wow.
So at 12:30, by 12:30 Eastern time on inauguration day, he will have gotten his first timeout. I don't think he'll be completely banned at that point because I think you have to have multiple strikes, right?
Can you have a bunch of strikes that are like pending, you know, from like, I don't know, 2016 forward? Yeah, I honestly think he'll be banned within a week. I'm gonna give it a week.
So you're going tops a week. I'm going tops 30 minutes for. So when you say banned, you mean like full on off the platform?
Shut down. Yep, completely.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll go 3 days for off the platform. 30 minutes for his first timeout. How long is a timeout?
For Twitter,
Yeah.
it's whatever they want to be because they can. Right?
There you have it.
Whatever the database administrator who has access wants it to be.
So,
all right.
How long so currently, how many followers does the Biden Harris account have?
I wouldn't know, Bob. I am not looking at my Twitter unless you send me some interesting reads.
Biden. I thought it was Biden Harris. Anyway, I just wonder how long it's going to. So the current POTUS account has how many followers? Did you say?
A lot more than us. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
More
A
than us.
lot. Thank you for being so.
I just wonder how quickly Biden and Harris will get up to a number that's close to the current one, and then again, how many tweets current dear leader sends out saying how sad, how like disappointing numbers, sad, low turnout.
Well, doesn't it depend a lot? So Donald Trump did something that Obama didn't. If I recall, Obama actually tweeted on the POTUS one. Like
Yes.
that was him while he was president. And then Donald Trump said, nope, I don't think so. I'm going to be me. And then everything on the White House in the POTUS one, I think, was basically just retweets, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
kept it on
Biden, I guess, could do the same thing. He could either ask for a rename, so take at Joe Biden or whatever it is, and make it at POTUS, or keep them separate, or stop using the one and just start using the other. So who knows? I'm just curious why they kind of pushed back on that. Really, I mean, yeah. Do you really want those followers anyway? I'm not so sure. All right. Something I want to roll in your mind, if you will. Voting machines. So I was in a conversation not that long ago where basically I said, how would you know if the voting machines are giving votes to one guy versus the other guy? And I said, well, I guess, first things first, I would go to the software company and go, what's your QA process? Because if it's just one person, that's not good. If it's a team of people, that's harder to sneak something in. If you're using source control, all these things will be normal. And if you're not using any of these things, I would be like super concerned. So if you're like, if Donald Trump, don't give a vote, or if Biden, give him X2 votes. So that would be in source control. And what do we know about source control, Bob?
It's a permanent record.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, it's a permanent right? History. And then the next thing I would do is I'd say, okay, who had access to these machines or whatever that we think are, bad, and look at the chain of custody there. Who loaded the software? Because I think most of them are air gapped, meaning they're not connected to the internet. So at some point, you've got to load the candidates into your machines for your jurisdiction, your precinct, etc. So what's the chain of custody there? And then I would also say, well, at some point, what is the procedure to clear said voting machine, and whatnot? Who can upgrade the firmware if it even gets upgraded? All these sorts of things. Where am I going with this? I did know that the Trump campaign was like, hey, we want to seize some voting machines in Pennsylvania or some battleground states. And there was a lot of pushback, but I actually don't think that's a terrible idea, because I think, why wouldn't you do that? But of course, you got to say, well, okay, after the election, did somebody then put something bad on it? And, kind of one of those things. You still kind of need a chain of custody. But what do you think about trying to do a forensic analysis of the voting machines so that we don't have Joe Biden always having this hanging over his head? Not that he should anyway, and maybe not that he does. Maybe only one guy or a group of people are holding this over him. What would you say to somebody who said, what's the chances of somebody actually getting in there and messing with the voting machines?
Well, here's step one. Well, no, actually, they're probably on step 3,000 at this point. Going to the voting machines as an audit point, I think, is the Hail Mary, because voting is conducted via those machines, and then pretty much in all cases, /another counting mechanism machine validated, correct? There's nothing. There's
I have
no
no
digital
idea.
file that
No
comes
idea.
over. There's no digital file that comes over and says in this precinct there was 100 votes for candidate A and 101 votes for candidate B, because you're putting way too much faith in anonymous data. I think for the most part, initially the ballots being um, debated was the manual counting process, which took place after the close of the election. Polling places, and that was their first argumentative area. I think when that proved out to not be a sticking or a problem point, I mean, in the minds of most people, then they started to flow back to the voting machines again. And I think you're 100% correct in kind of what you're alluding to is like how much of a black box is it? How can it be audited? What is the process? All that good stuff. But I do think that's our last Hail Mary. But I don't think that digital aspect played a giant role in what we're seeing play out in the courts right now.
Fair, that's all fair because I really, when I go to vote, it's completely electronic. There's like no piece of paper that craps out at the end that says, one vote for Sally or one vote for Fred. So I don't know how they tally them, to be honest. Half the time I think, how do I know if my vote even counted? But that's a different story. But this all makes really good ingredients to bake a conspiracy theory cake, if you ask me. Because
100%.
you and I know the technology is involved for software in modern day. So even if in reality it has nothing to do with software, people who are non-software people who basically just talking heads on television or radio or podcasts like this, they could just say, oh, well, it was given votes to so-and-so. Well, how do you know that? Well, I heard it from so-and-so. And it just turns, because most people can't go, well, there might be a source control. There might be a, what version, what's the chain of custody. Nobody's thinking that. All they're going is, yeah, retweet. Yeah,
well,
share on Facebook.
Well, help me out because you're really good at these. There's a fallacy there somewhere, right? A very well-known fallacy so I say that the sun or the moon rises in the morning. And if someone has no proof to the contrary, then my statement is true, right? There's
well, just to be clear, the moon can rise in the morning because you can have the moon during the daytime. So,
but if I say a truth,
pick something
like votes were swayed, and the person that if I'm having that conversation with you, and you have no proof to the contrary, then your argument is just as valid as mine.
Yeah, it's what not that makes for great conspiracy theory or great anecdotal evidence or great, people use to prove their point. You say, well, blah, blah, blah. And if it's not provable to be true, it's also not provable to be false. And so what I try to do with is that true or false? I try to think back to geometry class when they had these things called proofs. Prove that, the Pythagorean theorem is this. And then you use blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times you have to punt to the base level things, which are axioms, which are basically what math in general is actually predicated on. I think Gödel, I think is his name. Gödel. He's the incomplete. Yeah. Well, he was a guy who basically proved that there are some things that are unknowable, and it's the incompleteness theorem and things like that. And we talked about those sorts of things. And there's certain aspects of math that are unknowable. Even though math seems to have everything figured out, there are a lot of things that are unknowable. And if you turn that into human language and take things like that, you can say a lot of things that are unprovable. And then use those as a 10-point of unprovable things and go, aha, there's my evidence. And nobody can disprove you. So therefore you can't be wrong.
Is that the guy that most people measure their mathematician PhDs from when they're doing their genealogical PhD chart?
I have no idea. But I know Alan Turing, referenced him a lot. And we did talk a little bit about sort of these things. Turing brought up the idea that there's no general algorithm that will tell you, given a set of inputs, whether or not a program will halt. It's called the halting problem. And if it does, great. But we don't know for sure. We don't have an algorithm say yes for sure it will stop and we'll stop here for every general case. So my point is I think you see a lot in the media and a lot in Twitter. I guess that's media. People will say things that are just opinion and they're not provable, and we can't say whether or not you're right or whether you're wrong. Just like when you advertise, you can say this is the greatest ketchup ever, and the government won't say no, you can't say that. But if they say
there's a clause for puffery.
Right, exactly. And so I think Twitter and all that is exploited for that, sort of thing. I can say whatever I want because, like, when you use hyperbole, this is the greatest thing ever, or this is the worst thing ever. Well, that's subjective and it's, descriptive and all that. And you can't say whether it's true or not because it's based on you, the person, and whatnot. So this is why I'm not on Twitter anymore, in case anyone's wondering. People have figured out the Twitter formula to just
outrage,
to maximize outrage, maximize slam dunking on people, maximize exploiting these. I can say blah, blah, blah. And I'm only really kind of saying this to get more likes, retweets, and follows. And I may not even believe this, but I just know the formula, and that's just so frustrating. I think Twitter is just useless anymore.
So, hey, I got some questions for you related to that. So,
yeah.
Do you officially have no Twitter account anymore?
I do have a Twitter account, but I'm only squatting it because I don't want to delete it and then somebody come along and impersonate me.
How hard? So I know you did some housekeeping this week. Was that this week?
Yes.
Good Lord.
No, I've been doing it, but yeah, I did reach out to you this week.
So, all right. So talk to me about like how difficult. So for those watching and listening at home, Kevin deleted a bunch of his content. So what content did you delete?
Basically about 12,000 tweets, and I couldn't do that if I tried using their user interface. So there's something called tweetdelete.net or something like that. And don't go to tweetdelete.com because that's malware site. Don't go there. You've been warned.
I hate the internet.
Yes. So tweet delete or something like that. And you can basically say, you off into the site and say, delete all my tweets. And it will just say, okay. Then it just starts coming through. And it obviously has API access. But you did see a flaw, meaning if there's sort of attachment or media associated with it, I can't delete those for some reason automatically.
So you covered the media in there too, right? Like so media or replies or mentions, right?
No, I think I really don't know because I wouldn't know how to get to them now. So I don't know.
So I think when I was helping you out, like just kind of like being an extra set of eyes, I think everything you had a media post with, but I think everything you also liked is still in a, when you go to your, twitter.com/Kevin, you can see the likes that you have too. So I think those are all still there. So not that that's critical, but it does help build your profile.
Yeah, and I think I have come to a conclusion on what I call my Twitter experiment. I signed up in like 2009. How do you Twitter? Then I figured out, hey, there's a lot of. Actually, I met you over Twitter. Ironically.
Exactly.
But then this was early in its infancy, ish. But to me, just Twitter is just an exploitative platform, and people are making lots of money on there just by becoming famous overnight and all that. I'm just not that guy. I just, I'm just tired of trying. I feel like people who are on Twitter are just trying, and this isn't a blanket statement where people are on Twitter, but a lot of people are on Twitter to try to remain relevant to people that shouldn't give a shit about, to be honest. And I had this kind of
everybody to know that those were the words of Kevin. Not Bob.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a song by Florida Georgia Line called "Simple." Have you ever heard that song?
No, I gotta true confession, Florida Georgia Line is not in my playlist rotation. Sorry.
Actually, not a bad. They have some good songs. It's country. I'll give you that. Yeah, not normally in my wheelhouse, but it's basically got some lyrics of, used to be on Instagram and we used to care about who gave a damn, type thing.
Oh, nice
And
rhyme.
Exactly.
You used to be
And I think
on
I finally come to the
Instagram back when
I've
we
come
used
to the
give
point in
a
my life
damn.
where a stranger or someone who's not a pretty close friend, I really don't give a damn anymore. Yes, if we're interacting and on a regular basis, that's different. But like, follower number 15,206, I don't care what you think. I'm sorry, and it's just the way it is.
So speaking of Instagram, did you hear any of the hubbub kerfuffle of their changing terms of service?
No. Enlighten me, Bob.
Well, first of all, I'm going to fully confess, I don't know if it's true or not. A lot of celebrities were posting to their Instagram accounts that they might be off the platform very soon because of new content and privacy uh, terms of service from Instagram/Facebook. Some of them said they were moving to Parler because it didn't have the same terms of service and content restrictions. But a handful of the people that I follow on social media had referenced it. Celebrities had referenced it, and not much came of it. I think they were all still here the next day. So that could have been one of those viral. Facebook is changing their algorithm, and all you have to do is post this post, and they will show you all the feed that you want to see, or they can't use your pictures. So maybe celebrities fell for some fake terms of service update misinformation.
Yeah, not surprised. Chain letter stuff goes around. I wouldn't be, though, surprised if they are changing some things because of pending potential antitrust litigation. But you're right. No, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they would be cracking down on celebrity content as part of the antitrust thing. So,
well, you know what somebody's good at? Feel sorry for me, everyone. I need your pity. Blah, blah, blah.
And I think celebrities in the pandemic are struggling very hard to maintain relevancy, as you alluded to earlier in the conversation.
Well, Twitter and social media is good for a celebrity, but you know what? It's also a threat because a nobody can become a celebrity. That's competition. That's not cool. And where a traditional celebrity is also a celebrity in real life, going out to the gala, going out to the movie premiere, going out to the whatever. And now you're just like us. That's not good.
So can I pivot to holiday tech, even though we talked about Black Friday and Cyber Monday that turned into Cyber Month week? I don't know. I can't even keep track anymore.
And allow me to prime the technology pump by saying the United States Postal Service is killing me because, as you know, we're selling on Etsy and I sell on eBay too. And man, certain areas of this country, good luck. It's like sending a black hole. I've already actually got an insurance claim on something, and that was actually a pleasant experience. I've already got the money pretty quick. But
so you shipped something and now it's gone.
I've shipped several things and now they're just who knows where. So today is December the 23rd. I have a couple people holding out. It will deliver today or tomorrow. And I mean a couple, I mean more like a dozen or so. Just the postal service is just getting crushed. Like going through Pennsylvania, New York, New England, because of the pandemic, because of the whatchamacallit, the snowstorm that they've been having, all kinds of issues with that sort of thing. It's just been really troubling. So anyway, over to you, Bob. I hope you don't stuff the postal service and waiting on anything.
You know what? Actually, we're gonna wait till after the holidays to ship a lot of our stuff, just because we know that there's sketchy stuff going on. And I was really kind of setting you up to talk about a little piece of equipment that you got in the mail or in the post somehow related to technology. I figured we could talk about that a little bit and riff on over to how there's software solutions as well. But tell us about your new toy.
A Secret Santa sent me a Stream Deck, which is by Elgato. By the way, Elgato, super nice brand. Not a sponsor of the show, at least not yet. So Elgato does a lot of streaming stuff. So you're going to find like video capture cards. What this is basically a mini keyboard, but that you can then map to OBS or something like that and switch around stuff. So that's the new toy I got. And let me tell you, both my sons are hoping somehow, some way I don't have a use for it so that they can steal it.
Well, it's funny that you segue into that, because right now running on my iPad, I have the software version. Well, that screen is dirty. The software version of the hardware gift that Kevin got in the mail. You can either buy it straight out, or I think you can do it as a subscription, or maybe it is annual. I think it's $25 annually or something like that. So you can buy $100-ish. They kind of range depending on which model you get. You get $100-ish hardware model like Kevin got in the mail, or you can do the software for $25 a month. And what it does is it connects via your Wi-Fi, just like your iPad does, but it allows you to scan a QR code from the desktop version to kind of sync the two up. So obviously it gives it a Wi-Fi point to point, I guess. I don't know. It's a little bit over my head. But yeah, you can use it. We use OBS Studio for our streaming and other things we play around with. And this is kind of like an adjunct to this that allows me not have to reach up to my screen to make adjustments to the scenes. Basically, you can queue up a camera shot, a shot that you have, and you can click a transition, and it changes the screen.
I'm excited to use it. Just I might have to fight my kids for it. That's all.
Yeah, but I guess if you have an iPad laying around, you could also make one for them and give it to them, because Jackson's got an iPad.
Yeah. In fact, we've got some older ones that, Apple will gladly take off your hand for part of their recycling program and give you $5 whole for it. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, $5. I can repurpose that somehow, some way, right? And this might be one of those things. But
yeah, the one that I'm running on is pretty low. Like, I mean, I think it can only upgrade to 12.5, so it's an old one too.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna actually come back with. But oh wait, Apple's got a plan for me. They'll just make everything obsolete for the old stuff, which that's another episode of Bob and Kevin. All right, what else? What other kind of technology you got, Bob?
That's kind of the new stuff that I'm playing with. Actually, that was inspired by your gift coming in the mail. So not much going on from a tech perspective. Been doing a lot of OBS, playing around, and this kind of dovetailed nicely into it. So I'm looking forward to some downtime over the holidays to continue to play with. Tricked out the Restream account a little bit today to set it up so we could go to Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Periscope's going away for those who don't know that. So that would be.
Not already went away. Not going, I mean,
it was announced to people who were on the platform. I think the 15th of December, if I'm correct. But I think it's going to hang around until March of 2021. But there's still going to be a live streaming option for Twitter. I just don't know how that's wired up at this point. So I think we'll continue to stream on Twitter. The main objective is to just get the show out there a little bit more, possibly introduce ourselves to some new audiences, and encourage people to download episodes 1 through 83, I think, at this point. Is that what we're up to? 83 episodes?
I think so. The other thing I gave up on is keeping track of the stats, because either it's like one of these episodes, our alien episode 42, which is how much it comes up. That one just goes bananas in the UK for some reason. Do y'all have like a convention like once a year or something for aliens. And then the rest of them, are just like, what you would expect. But yeah, I don't look anymore, Bob.
Well, as you know, the aliens episode is still the all-time favorite. So, but we're trying to change that. Trying to change
I think we should just change over to an alien podcast if we're in this for like the views, because apparently that's it.
Maybe we spin up a secondary one. I don't know. But I guess since we're talking about you not looking at the numbers, and the end of 2020 and going into 2021, Kevin and I had set some interesting goals, or not interesting, just goals. Last year around this time, we talked about like how we wanted to show the show to grow in 2020, and so we came up with some pretty bold targets. And it's actually okay not to make a goal. We want everyone to know that. And plus, a pandemic hit, and that did kind of wreak havoc on podcast listening, especially in the beginning, because people weren't commuting and people weren't going to the gym and people just weren't doing the things they normally did to listen to podcasts.
Apparently, people only listen to podcasts while they're at work on the company's dime, I guess,
or commuting or at the gym. I think those are big audiences. Well, anyway,
so those are more innocent. Yeah, let's go with that.
So we set a target to grow podcast listeners by 150% is what our target was.
Did we make it?
We fell literally hundreds of listens short. So we actually...
But the year's not over, right?
The year's not over. I don't think we'll necessarily hit the target, but so we grew 148% over last year. So we doubled and a half the number of listens we had in last year. I guess last year was year 2, technically, correct? Yeah. So
I think we just completed year 3 with Black Friday.
So 2021, do you think we should shoot for another 1.5, or do you think we should, or 150% for those of you playing at home, or do you think we should up the ante and shoot for 175%? Kevin is pointing up. Oh, I guess we have a video stream. I don't have to narrate now. You think 200%?
So I like 200 because that means double where we stand on January or December 31st. Whatever that number is, double it.
Yeah, I think actually you and I have talked about this offline before, and I think that's probably accurate. So we were looking to take the current number of downloads that we have December 31st of 2020, and by December 31st, 2021, doubling that number. And to do that, we need your help.
A lot of help.
So we're going to start doing these live streams pretty regularly. They might not be full-fledged episodes, but they will be us connecting with our listeners via video and live streams. Oh, there we go. I dropped a dime. Literally dropped a dime. And then we'll continue.
Hey, can I give a little tour of my my studio here, just because we have video, and I know it won't play well for the podcast, but maybe I'll just describe some of it.
Well, I was going to say you can, but we've already gotten concern online for your internet connection during our live stream.
Oh no! So basically, what you're saying, nobody's going to see it anyway.
Yeah, I think it would be very pixelated. You're actually in a fairly good stream now. Here, I'll switch to single Kevin camera. Boom. Stinger transition. All right.
Welcome to the office. So I'm just going to try to go around slowly because over there is next to the guitar is a bunch of signs we do for Etsy that I already have pre-made. Over there in the corner, I have a ton of Legos that are brand new. I'm a Lego connoisseur / black market Lego seller. And then we've got nice little desk here that I made and all kinds of stuff here. Oh, you get to see Bob. He's down there somewhere. That's my creative area, I like to call over there.
That just looks like a bunch of colored lines.
Great. Well, those, if you can kind of see, are vinyl. Gosh, I can't point here. Vinyl, because I have vinyl cutter. We have the Bob and Kevin Show official signage right here. And then, of course, the in case of emergency, get commit, get push, GTFO. Just in case. And as you can see, I've got a bunch of shipping materials because we like to ship a lot of stuff here. And that's why I'm angry with the United States Postal Service for not doing a very good job this year.
Well,
anyway,
it'll be interesting.
That's a Studio 1A.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays back.
Kevin, this is the most amazing pixelated office I've ever seen. Heck, Minecraft would even be, a little bit jealous.
Minecraft-esque. Very nice. I will not give a tour of my studio because it's my bedroom. It's my pandemic studio. I got kicked out of the original studio because someone had to come live with us in the first lockdown. So it's a lovely green screen and a king-size bed and some other bedroom furniture, plus padded walls, sound deadening. Typical bedroom setup.
Fair enough.
All right. So just remember, those of you watching, listening, find us wherever podcasts are streamed, downloadable. And now you can find us on our social media. Just search Bob and Kevin Show. Our SEO is doing pretty well for our brand name. So you'll find our Facebook page, you'll find our Twitter. Soon you'll probably find our Twitch account. If you like Twitch, we'll be here every time we stream. So what else you got, Kev?
If you want to get a hold of the show, you're actually saying, do I want to get a hold of Bob? Because Kevin's basically like gone under a rock at this point. And I am my new gig, which is not so new anymore, keeps me super busy, super engaged. And I guess I just don't need the distractions. So really, you're going to get a hold of Bob if you want to get a hold of the show. Bob will treat you right. I think use Twitter. It's probably the best way to get a hold of you. Is that right, Bob?
Yeah, Twitter, just Bob and Kevin Show. Twitter/Bob and Kevin Show. I'll see it because of course Kevin's not on anymore. We have an email to I think it's comments@bobandkevinshow.com.
But neither one of us read that one.
Or comments@bobandkevin.show. I don't know which one has the email tied to it, to be honest. Whoa.
You can send us an email, but it's probably not a...
Right.
Oh, no.
You're fine now.
Well, you can send us an email, but it's like, hope you get insurance on the email. It may not get there. So I'm just saying.
I may resolve in 2021 to check email more often. So, all right,
Bob. I'm good. I don't have anything else.
I'm good too. I think to end the live stream, we'll just go back to the show music and stay tuned. We'll try to announce these streams a little bit more ahead of time and be better content providers by letting you know when we're going to do this kind of stuff. So if we don't talk to you before then, I guess we don't really talk to you. You listen to us. We do talk to you, but it's not a bi-directional dialogue yet. Have a happy holiday, and we'll see you in 2021. I think we're out.
You are listening to the Bob and Kevin Show with Bob Beattybar
and Kevin Gishesky. Each week we cover relevant tech and social issues related to technology.
Our website is bobandkevin.show.
And our episodes can be found virtually on any podcast network.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Just search for Bob and Kevin Show.